With that, it's time for our special presenter, or special guest, Motoko Smith. Motoko Smith. Before I bring her up, I just want to give you a little bit of background. She is a wood turner, woodworker, and has expanded beyond woodworking to involve other mediums within her woodwork, which is one of the reasons we've invited her to join us today. She is a lovely lady. She brings to me, as I talked to her this morning and looked at her work on her website, there's just something kind of gentle about her and the way she approaches woodworking. And in a frantic world that we all live in, I think we can all appreciate the fact that it might be nice to introduce a little bit of gentleness into what we're working on to make our woodworking even more satisfying. So I think you're going to be fascinated with what she's going to show you. She's right here in Southern California. She is a member of the San Diego Turners Association, our sister organization, and has done woodworking for about 9 years, but found that she needed to go beyond just the standard turning of the bowls and the wood, and has found unique ways to introduce other mediums into her woodworking. So without me prattling on any further, Motoko, please join us.
Hi, thank you for having me today. My name is Motoko. I'm a wood turner about maybe 12, 13 years now, and before that I was doing woodworking. And when you're a wood turner, it's kind of hard to avoid being a woodworker, right? Because we have a bandsaw, and with bandsaw, it's hard to resist making bandsaw boxes. But I guess as woodworker, you can avoid being a wood turner. But I heard you guys are going to have a lathe? Just one? Two big ones. American Beauty? Okay. Okay, that's the one that I use. Okay, so today I want to share things that I've been making these days. And before I started wood turning about 12 years ago, I didn't think of, the only things that I was thinking to make were like wooden bowls, right? And platters, these type of things. And I didn't think of making other stuff. So I want to share those things today. These tiny boxes are called Cellars. And people don't have to be using them for Cellars. They can be anything. They can use anything. They can use them for anything they want. But I put oversized knobs on them and call them Cellars and sell them. And they're the most made items in my shop. And one year, one of the customers asked if I could add a spoon, tiny spoon. And so I carved a tiny spoon and created a little circle cutout on the lid, and I didn't like it. So I had to figure out how to, make it a little bit more elegant. So this is what I came up with. So I decided to create a spout on the bowl. And with this one, the grain goes from the lid onto the body of the cellar. But sometimes, I don't have enough space or enough, the blank is not enough for the lid, then I would just play with different type of wood. And it's been kind of fun, playing with the options. But you might be wondering, how do I do the spout on the lathe? So this is how I do it. So you turn the outside on the lathe, and then top 10 or 15%, you have to sort of like flare out, right? And then in my case with this one, it kind of makes it look like a tulip flower. And then hollow the inside and then create the recess for the lid. Then carve outside and make a spout while it's still chucked on the lace. That's how I do it. And then, I don't know if you, okay, so the one on the upper left, upper right, I unchuck it finally and then carve the valley inside the spout, unchucked. And that's how I make the saw cellar with a little spoon. And then those hot lines, they naturally kind of happen. And I probably first couple of them, I got rid of them. But this is the one that is on the video. But it's kind of nice to have hot lines here. So I decided to keep them. Oh. So this is the spoon. And then you can kind of see my struggle inside the spoon bowl. Like it's hard to really sand inside, but this is it. And then inside. So that's how I do it. Okay. And more boxes with a whale tail knob. I mean, more boxes that involve carving. And this one, the one on the left, I rough turned the box wet, meaning that it was just fresh off from the tree. And it was still wet when I rough turned it, and a few months later, it hardly warped, but it created, you see those dimples. So I decided to keep them as well, often have those, scars. So I decided to emphasize them. And the whale tail, it was hard to carve at the beginning, but I got used to it after a while. The one on the right is something else. Not the same box. And that box, I don't have a picture of it. I just took a picture of the scar that I created. But that one didn't warp at all and didn't create even dimples. So I decided to just, add scars now. And I do this with the carving tools that I got from elementary school back in Japan. In Japan, we do carving. And, these tiny carving tools from Japan for tiny hands. And I still have them, like 6, 7 of them. And I started from those tiny, tiny carving. And I've never taken a class, so you guys can do these things also. And now I have a little bit better carving tools. Okay. And next one. So this one, I used to sew all the time. I started it as a kid. So when I found out that I can incorporate my sewing skill into, wood turning, I was kind of thrilled. This is made of bankusia nut. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Bankusia nut? Bankusia? I don't know. Bankusia? Yeah. Bankusia nut. And I do with wood, walnut too, but the option to work indoors and do sewing and still continue to work when I have like a doctor's appointment or something later on, so I don't have to be covered with wood shavings. So that's nice. And decorating our home, because I like to decorate our interior of the house. So decorating our home with my own lamps is really fun.
And another thing I didn't think of I will be making is these pendant light shades. This is our kitchen, but basically these are just wooden bowls with holes on the top. And then those black, cord and all the hardware is from Home Depot. It was like $15. So this is made of olive wood. A little bit smaller than this. Okay, next one. Spindle turning. So these kokeshis, these wooden dolls are called kokeshi in Japan. And they're just spindles. So easiest thing you can do on the lathe, like making rolling pin or something like that. Inside of these dolls are not hollowed, so you just make spindles, shapes, right, on the lathe. I know you. And then glue them together to make these dolls. And the only carving I have to do is these, kokeshi hair. Well, actually, inside the hair has to be hollowed out. And then I did a carving to show the faces. And I started with those white ones, just with wood. And then I got inspired from somebody's painting. So I started doing paint patterns on the kimono part. These baskets are called Nantucket baskets, or sometimes called friendship baskets, originated on Nantucket Island in Massachusetts. And a little bit of backstory. I was at dental clinic appointment and about almost 10 years ago. And I saw this Martha Stewart Living or something like that, a magazine, and a section of it was about Nantucket basket. And I've done some basket weaving before, but I've never seen or heard of Nantucket baskets. So it was everything, I guess, Martha owns. The collection of her Nantucket basket was just so beautiful that I thought that I have to get myself one. And I went home and Googled Nantucket baskets, and they were expensive, like not $500 expensive. It's like thousands of dollars. So I said to myself, okay, now I can't afford it, so I'm going to make them. So I found these basket supply stores. And even those wooden parts are so expensive. So, these things, when I was doing the research, I found out that these things are woven on a mold. And one mold is like $200. But in reality, you can just glue up, right? And then make or weave a basket on it. So I started making all the wooden parts and molds also. And when you only have one mold, you can just make this basket, and it's kind of boring. So I started making a lot of different molds. I probably have like maybe 20 or 30 now. And one thing that I found out is that so many parts are turned on the lathe. For example, the bottom of the basket has this thing called base. There's this groove right here. So I turned this on the lathe with this hole, 1/4-inch hole. And then this is the mold, one of the first one that I made. It's empty inside. And then you put this threaded insert in there. And the height of this recess is almost equal to the height of this lower side of this base. So when I put this here, the groove is above the surface of that mold. right? And then I clamp this thing. And then I usually use rattan staves, but they can also be wooden staves. And then I start weaving. So I don't have to buy those expensive stuff. So nowadays I found out that, gluing up these things like this way is kind of, so adding, like gluing, not horizontally, but gluing vertically helps when you're weaving because staves are going this way, right? Like vertically. So those seams from the gluing mold helps to keep the basket going straight down. So the newer molds that I make at home now, but those are glued this way. Okay. But this one is, of course, turn on the lathe. And then these knobs are also turned on the lathe. These are tortoise pattern knobs. And obviously, with this one, I have to make oval shape mold. And then that's also turned. So typically, people just put those plugs. You can also turn on the lathe into here at the end. Because remember, there's a hole right here. But when you're done, you remove this basket from the mold, and then you have this hole. And I don't like that, like end grain of the plug. So I decided to just, where is it? Turn a little bit bigger disc and face of the wood. So other things, okay. Oops, how do I go back here? Okay, so with this one, that black rose engine disc, I purchased from another artist because I don't have rose engine lathes. And I added the bottom side of the base to it. This side. So that with that one, the top part was rose engine disc I purchased. And then I glued the bottom side to create that one. Oops. What am I doing wrong? Oh, okay. Okay. And then also, as you can see, the peg is turned on the lathe. And then knobs, of course, that one. And then there's a base, turn base on the bottom of that basket also. The hydrangea's top thing is something my customer purchased and sent it to me, so I put that on the top, and I think it's beautiful. And the one on the left, I mainly use white oak. So there's a lot of not only wood turning, but things that you guys can also make too, like a lot of wooden parts. And, handles you can bend. I do steam bending. And then with this one, I have maple. And then I laminated, I think this is cherry on the top. Cherry on the top. Yeah. And then this one. So that's the picture when I'm weaving. And they tend to kind of go out, not go along with the mold. So I have to I have to clamp the basket every once in a while. Sometimes when I go to sleep, I just clamp it and then go back and weave. And I also carve. I don't have a latchet today, but the latchet set that I carve is ebony. And that's just hand carved. But like I said, the peg is turned on the lathe. And I don't have that type of basket today, but I often add the latch on the lid and then the bottom side on the body and then close it with the peg. So, a lot of things you can make with wood turning. Lace turn parts are knobs, bases, these bases. This one too. But this is oval. But assuming if this is a round basket, bases can be turned on the lathe. And then rims. This one is oval, like I said, but if this is round basket, the rims can be turned on the lathe also. And, I'm sorry? Okay, so with this one, as you can see, not bent rim, right, solid rims. When I first made this, because this wood, the rims are so thin, that they turn kind of like potato chips, right? So before cutting the shape of this, you know how table saw blade goes up about like 2 inches high at the most? So before I cut out the oval shape, I cut that right in the center. Right? And then I cut these rims on table saw and then glue this maple piece into it. So that was successful. So that's what you see on the pictures too. This is not the same one, but if you can go back to the picture. And then also the hinge. It's not turned, but hinges are hand carved. I use brass bars, tiny brass bars, yeah. Okay. And plugs, mold, and you see those bees in the front? So when I did the table saw technique, I used the wrong blade. So, you know how like the blade is curvy? So it created this little gaps, ugly gaps. So I had to add little bees in front to sort of hide them. But those are made on the lathe also. So 4 of them in the front and then 4 of them in the back. But I kind of like that as, design. It adds character to it. So those things you can make on the lathe. So blending Nantucket basket weaving skills with wood turning is what I discovered through basket weaving. So this is a tea canister with Nantucket style inner lid. I think this is the very first one that I put or blended weaving into my wood turning. And inside there's a tiny spoon inside too. And how I do it, that's what I want to explain a little bit. So I make this platform for weaving. Because I don't have a mold, I'm not weaving basket, right? So I have to create this platform. And then that's where I start putting staves. Can you play the video, please? Oops. It's going? Oh, okay, sorry. So it's about like 1 millimeter groove. So I have to also, like thin the staves a little bit and perfectly match that thickness. It goes on, so I don't think you want to see the entire video, but. And I'm usually basket weavers just use craft scissors. But I find that this, it's called detail chisel from Veritas. I find that very useful in this case. And then I want to show you, I made this illustration. So I use the platform you just saw as a mold. And then the little center wooden piece is basically based like this. And then the gray part is the stave that I'm cutting, shaving, and putting into the groove. And then I start weaving. Weave slightly larger than a required diameter. So with this case, this is a very tiny one. I created the recess on the top of the lid. By the way, the recess that I have to make is about 1/8. So 3 millimeters. Okay. And then that's how I weave. Nothing complicated, just over and under, over and under. And then when I finish, I remove the knob, and that's what I have. And I cut those extra staves. And then I have to make another platform to sand. It doesn't have to be this spindle sanding thing, but you can also do that on regular disc sander. But I created this platform, or jig, you might call, and sand down to the perfect size that fits on the recess of the lid. The problem is that I have to make so many of those jigs because I don't like measuring, the size, the diameter of that recess. So I have like 10 of them. Okay. And then fitting and cleaning. And then there are usually a lot of unwanted fiber coming out from the weaving. So I have to use tweezers or, very fine scissors to clean. And then I turn this disc, or I call it button, on the lathe. I'm sorry?
Yes.
After I install everything. Everything is glued up and stuff. I usually like to use Deft. Do you know Deft? Spray paint Deft? Spray lacquer, I guess. Yeah. With satin sheen. I think it's beautiful. So that's what I do. And then at the end, like I said, I turn the button, this button thing on the very top center, on the lathe. And glue that portion. I'm not gluing the weaving. I'm gluing this portion. No, I don't have that problem. I'm sorry? What did you say? It stays. Yeah. Even with this thing, all these baskets, there's no glue at all. And they tend to stay. Even inside, when I put staves inside and start weaving, everything is locked in. There are a lot of tiny nails. So they're the things that I keeping. And then also this thing called lashing. Or lashing. And that's how I glue everything. I have a little store in Nantucket that carries a lot of antique stuff, but they like this thing, so I sell a lot of them to them. And this one, I realized right before I shipped the other ones that green might not be matching with this one. So I decided to hold on to it. I don't know. It's a little off. And so doesn't have. I do little oversized knobs on this one too. The one you see on the lower right. And that's it. And I also have these tiny baskets. So as woodworkers, you guys can bend. And if you have a lathe, once you get the lathe there, you can turn them all.
Anybody got questions?
That's it. Thank you so much.
Just one quick question. You said your shop was where?
It's not my shop. There's a shop in Nantucket Island
Testing.
that buys my stuff. Yes, I'm in Miramesa. So my garage shop is in Miramesa with 2 lathes. I have 2 lathes. And
we've got mics here, so please, Gary and I will be walking around. If you've got a question, raise your hand. We'll walk over with the mic.
Okay.
On your drawing, it looked like the stave is wedged.
Yes.
So it's thicker on the outside than it is on the inside?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And it has to be pretty tight. Otherwise, you kind of have a hard time weaving at the very beginning, especially like first or second row, like your hand's going to have cramps. Yeah. But, yeah.
How do you go about making an oval mold for the oval basket?
So, just like this one. You just have to glue. I have a router template to create the same exact shape. And however tall you want, glue them together, and then route this section. and then glue the top. But before you glue the very top portion of this mold, you have to create the recess. And that's, I do routing also. And then drill a hole here and insert the threaded insert in there on drill press, yes. But not turned on. You have to kind of be careful. Yes.
What's the material? Oh, wait for a mic.
Do Isaac while we're waiting.
Yeah. With the Kokeshi doll, you had one of the dolls. Sorry.
Okay.
One of the dolls had a very interesting wood on it that I think you were trying to pinpoint the name on. Where's that wood from? Do you know? It has like this.
Vancusia.
Do you know where that wood comes from?
It's from Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool. But I'm pretty sure they grow here somewhere too.
No idea.
Yeah. So they kind of look scary at the beginning, and it's so dusty when I turn. Just a mess. Yeah.
So on the reed material that you use for the baskets, that's me back here.
Okay.
Do you get it wet first, or is it?
Which one?
The when you bend it around the form, is it wet, soaked? Okay.
Yes.
Just in water?
Yes.
Okay.
Same thing with staves. The vertical line. These are staves.
Okay,
I wet them, especially when this one, of course, I don't have to really wet them because it's just straight. It goes in straight to the groove. But when I'm weaving basket like this, the bottom part has to be kind of wet, and then use, heavy rubber to keep it down, at least overnight before you start weaving.
Right over here.
Do you have any website or any shopping?
Yes.
Okay.
MotokoSmith.com.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I encourage you to take a look at her website. It's very nice.
Yeah.
So the closest place to us is Frank's Cane and Rush or LA Basket Weaving Supply. Do you use one of them or a different vendor?
I don't. I can't remember the name. The one that I remember is Dells, D-E-L-S. And this place is, I assume, in Massachusetts. Yeah. But when you order a mold, I heard that it takes like a year. So why don't you just make it? Yeah. And it's like $200 10 years ago. So imagine how much it is now.
Zen, that's a good project for your digital tools guys to start making molds.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question.
Hey, how long does it take you to make those basket tops? Like right there, where it's woven.
Basket tops?
Yeah, in the picture.
Yeah.
Well, if you go back, because now the screen's not up. Those.
These?
Yeah. How long is that process?
Oh, how long?
Yeah. How much time?
You say how do you make it? I just showed it.
Yeah, no, I got that. I was listening.
Okay. So.
Despite
how
talking
long?
to my neighbor.
Okay. So I don't do like one by one. So it's kind of hard to tell. I always have like 10 of them going. So it might take now 2-3 days for 10 of them. But I'm not including the time that I'm turning all the boxes and lids. That's probably 2 to 3 days before. So I turn those boxes first and then create the recess on the top. And then I separately do the weave-in, and it probably takes 2-3 days to finish 10 of them. Yeah.
Motoko, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
a
so
wonderful
much.
presentation.